let me know when it weighs it. Yep. All right. Oh. Welcome back to FRL. This is the 6th race of the season. This is at Canada, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. At the moment, it actually does not look like it's raining. Which, very overcast. It could rain at any moment in this track. I believe this is the rest of the track that was got the highest chance of rain in the entire calendar. Just in general, I think we're expecting to see the same usual suspects heading out early. I'd imagine to see Random come out quite early, maybe Avo as well, right off straight away. See the original times to compete against. As I say that, Random is already out of the pits. It's like clockwork. Random, I believe. Who else is there? Pixie. And I think there's those two at the moment. So, Canada is a very interesting specimen of a track. It has a big, long, double DRS zone of both the back straight and then the front straight, separated by the Wall of Champions chicane. Now, most overtakes are going to be done there. I can't imagine there'll be many other overtakes unless there's a massive pace disparity between the two drivers. And it can make for some very awkward DRS trains. If you're stuck behind one, you may end up getting very frustrated and going for a move that you really shouldn't be. There's quite a high safety car chance as well. Obviously, being a street circuit, the walls are always tight around and penalties are plenty, and of course, well, the Wall of Champions is one that I'm pretty sure everyone's hit it at some point in their time playing any game or just driving in general.
We currently ride on board with Random in the Alpine Renault.
Yes, lap times today. I'd imagine the top guy would be running into probably a 109. Maybe a 108 if you're like
Give or take.
Really heavily pushing it. I'd imagine for most of the midfield, a 110, maybe 111 is what you want to be aiming for a good start here. Although it's not the biggest and most utmost important track position here, it's always key in any race. But this one, it's okay. It's you can overtake and you can cut through the grid. It's just you don't really want to be too out of position here for your own sanity and for your own sake. We should get our first lap time now, and that is a 112.4. It's not a bad time. I'd say that's a pretty decent time. We'll see how Pixie does. A 110.9, straight into the 110s there. That's kind of what I'd imagine. Kind of what I'd imagine the top end of the maybe like the top end of the midfield. Like I imagine that'd be like an 8 or a 9. As I have a couple more times coming out across the board. Laz with a 112 flat, And I think that's actually Nixie going. Did Nixie invalidate her lap? That might have been what happened. Yeah, Nixie had a 1:11.4 invalidated. Oh, there's instantly a yellow flag.
That's Nexus. Yeah, that was Nexus Mercedes moving out of the way. Avery's
Yep, I
Aston
see
Martin.
that. Looks like Lenny actually went out for quite an early lap time. That's quite surprising from him. Straight into a 1:10.1. That's I'd imagine there'd still be a few temps in that. I imagine that was quite a good banker lap. I mean, this is also a track that you can get slowed down by traffic on quite considerably. It may not be that big a deal in Sector 3, of course, the big long straights, but if you get caught in Sector 1, you're easily losing a tenth or 2 tenths, and there's nothing you nor the other driver can do in that scenario. We will be waiting on a couple more times. It's Laz going. Laz has gone for a second run, not much gain out of that. Avo set a 1:12.2 as well.
See two Ferraris coming out of the pits. It's off the corner of my eye.
Yes. Both of them are on soft tires, so there's no mediums. There's no surprise medium tires. Oh, and there's Alpine just parked in the wall. I'm not sure if Laz got damage or he's spun. It looks like there's no damage on the car. Some good bit of parking though. There's a few drivers down the road that I would very much like to show how to park. Let's see. I want to see what Corvix and Sparrow can do on their lap times here. Corvix in front and Sparrow getting the toe behind. Yeah, no, this track does offer an advantage on getting the toe on this one. The dirty air isn't. I mean, it impacts a little bit, but it's massively beneficial on that back straight if you can stay within it. Now coming round to the first chicane, the right left. Well, there's quite a few right lefts in this one, but the downhill right left. It's very, very easy to invalidate a lap there or just get a track limit warning in general on that part of the track. Expect quite a few of them there, especially later on during the race when your tires start to go a bit more slidey and you slide out of both into the second part of that track, into that chicane, and on the exit of the said chicane as well. Both times you could cause a spin. It looks like both Ferraris are setting relatively good pace compared to each other. I mean, we'd expect Corvix to be faster by quite some margin. Imagine like a 1:96, 1:97 this lap would be.
108.
Never mind, a 1:08.9, because, yeah, of course it is. I mean, I did say a 1:08 would be possible. Yep.
Here he is making such a thing possible.
Exactly. Sparrow with a 1:10.3. I can imagine she still has some time to game in that as well. Because Luck currently actually getting P3 of a 1:10.2. Actually switching teams to VCarb or Rosso or RB, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same, really. It seemed just retire. Maybe you only want to do one lap. So it's a weird one. I'm not sure how I feel about that doing that for them, but
Probably everything. Probably Husky's putting everything he's got. Tank at V-Carb Honda.
yes. Let's have a look. So I think currently on the track to look at is Nixie, although I think she's invalidated her lap again. We'll see if she goes into the pits. So Nixie's still yet to get a lap time in. She's now used 2 sets of soft tires, so she'll only have one set left. One set left to set a good fast lap. It is at that point where you do start to worry as a driver, though. You've burned through 2 sets of softs, so you don't really have any options. You either choose to go super safe, or you just go out in a blaze of glory and try not to bin it.
This
See,
sort
then
of
you
track,
get a 109.7.
in this sort of track where it's death or glory.
Yes. One little mistake can cost you tenths or the wall, but also letting back any inch is detrimental to your time. I mean, just want to follow through Drew at the moment, who is just about to come on to his first flyer. A lot of the corners here will spit you out if you push too hard, and a lot of these corners here will also heavily hinder you if you don't push hard enough. I think the Water Champion chicane alone, you can make or break 5 to 6 tenths depending on how heavily you want to push it. I'd like to see just how much Drew does push it here as he does go into turn 1. Turn 2 is a pretty simple complex. You can't really have too many issues. You can kind of spin it on the curve in turn 2, but I can't imagine. That doesn't really happen too often. Downhill, right, left. Navigates it with some inches still to go. Is this still with first lap? He still needs to put something on the board. Is that actually a purple sector one? I'm not.
Looks like it.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's about 4 tenths off Corvix's time, so it's not a purple sector one. It's the game's lying to you. Going through here, that chicane as well is also one you can heavily mess up. It doesn't chuck you into a wall, but it does chuck you out of track limits. The hairpin as well, late. I can imagine in the race somebody will misbrake the time. This time they're braking and they will end up into the back of somebody. It happens every single time in that corner. And then of course the infamous Water Champions. Will he make it through? He makes it through it perfectly fine. Run up to the line. And it's a 109.9. Just teetering into the 109s there. Ahead of Luck in 4th and ahead of Sparrow as well. Drew, of course, now without his teammate for this race, which could be an issue for Haas in the Constructors against Ferrari. Let me bring up what the Constructors actually currently looks like. At the moment, they are about 38, 40 points behind, so they will miss having a second driver in this race. As coming right through now, just past Drew, is Sparrow, but I think her lap is validated, so do not need to look at that any further. Do see Nixie actually still on a lap. I would like to see if Nixie's able to set a time here for herself. She does, a 111.4, ahead of Avo and ahead of the 2 LPs. And with only one driver left to set a lap, this could be a good indicator of what the race could be like, could play out as.
This is either make or break Williams driver.
Yes. He does. He did come and say to me that he does struggle on this track. It's not an easy track to get a grip on. It's quite punishing for any little mistake. And we can even see it here as he's invalidated his current lap time. I'm not sure if this is.
Not to mention he's also missing his right end plate.
Oh, good find, good catch. Yeah, he is missing that. And he's already used up think he says he used up all. I think he's used up all of his soft tires now. So he's going to have to really dig in to one of his scrubbed soft tires and try to set a still reasonable lap time. I mean, he'll only have one more lap to do, maybe two if he's extremely lucky and gets to push it, but he'll
Timed
only
it
have
just
one
right,
lap
yeah.
left to do. And I don't think that's actually possible. I think he'd only have one lap unless he does 2 out laps or 2 fast laps and somehow manages to save enough battery to do so.
Probably with an intact front wing.
Yes, that would be quite important, as I do see random it does improve his time to be a 112 flat, a third 112 flat. There's now 3 of those on the board. That's going to be an interesting fight for the last point, because 112.8, 112.008, 112.056, and 112.069. There is 13 thousandths separating the 2 Alpines, and not even a tenth separating them from Avo ahead. So I can see some. The soft tires, they're okay. They're not great here. I believe they're the C5. They don't really last that long, so it's not that big a deal if you burn through them all during quali. You're not really going to get a chance to use them in the race unless there's a late safety car. Which, it is a possibility, but even still, one extra lap on these tires isn't really going to be the biggest issue for the drivers here. Sparrow does come onto her last flying lap. She will want to get into the 109s, stick it to Drew and Lenny, and obviously start ahead of Luck. And also try to keep her spot ahead of Kimaru in 6th, because he's only 1/10 behind, and you don't really want to be behind any other drivers if you're trying to be in a title fight against the Haases. Hairpin, does she get a good... Yeah, she gets a good entry into the hairpin, another good exit as well. Everything looking clean as she zooms down the back straight. Oh, wait, her DRS says her DRS is currently harvesting. I'm not sure about whether that's she's just burnt them all or whether she's
actually taps
the
wall of champions
squirrely.
and invalidates her lap at the very last second.
Oh, and that was a faster lap as well. That was such a good lap from her. I believe that was 1/10. Yeah, that was 1/10 faster. That would have put her ahead of. It would have put her ahead of, well, Pixie now. Yeah, it would have put her just behind Luck. That's gonna be rough for her now, as she now has to try to get through Pixie, Luck, and Kimaru if she wants to fight Drew in for 3rd. Drew, on the other hand, has another fight for Lenny ahead as well.
Currently is. Nikolasi out yet again, invalidating another lap with another missing end plate. Well, the whole left side of his front wing is pretty much gone.
So you have Pixie and Sparrow now in the pits. That's their qualifying over. Same with Kimaru. Drew pits in as well. Meaning that P2 is safe for Lenny. I mean, I can't imagine he'll be able to beat Corvix's time. If he does, then I'll personally go back over to Germany and give him 20 euros. I mean, he comes close. 109.3. That's not that far away, and if he can stick with Corvix for the rest of the lap, or stick with Corvix in the first couple laps, he could cause some issues in the dying stages. Let me. It doesn't look like he improves. Or does he improve, or are they just at the same time? No. No.
Okay.
108.9. And that is your grid set. Quite. You gotta feel sorry for Sparrow here. Losing her lap on the last corner, it can happen to anybody. So the grid lines up with Corvix on pole again. The front row of the grid being Corvix and Lenny is a front row that everyone has been used to by now. The second row is Drew and Kimaru. I think this is his best qualifying so far this season. Luck and Pixie finished the RB row 3, and Sparrow down on the fourth row of the grid, following next to Nixie. The fifth row is Avo, where Random actually out-qualifies his teammate and ends up in 11th with Laz in P12 and Glassy, who was unable to set a time, unfortunately.
Last time we seen him, another front wing bit was pretty much gone. This be very much a struggle. Williams driver.
Now, I'd imagine most drivers would go for a medium into hard here. Maybe I'm not sure about a medium soft. I believe it's 35 laps. I'd imagine most pits are around lap 12 to lap 17 on the mediums. It's quite a bog standard strategy here at Canada. It is the one stop. It is the shortest or the quickest pit lane in case of it loses the least amount of time. So it's actually not that detrimental to pit a second time. It's only about 15 seconds, and it's down to 5 seconds under a safety car. And so pitting multiple times is not awful of an idea if there's multiple safety cars during this race, especially with how simple it can be to overtake down the back straight, and even into some of the other corners, like into the hairpin if you got enough overspeed, or even through the first DRS zone. We did see that last season, I believe, with Drew and Luck, if I remember correctly, where it was the last lap and they both collided into the quick right-hander after the first DRS zone, which actually gave the podium, I believe it was to Sparrow. I'm not actually sure who actually got the podium there. Let me go through the results. It gifted the podium. No, it gifted the podium to Ties. It wasn't Drew. It was. I remember who it was. It wasn't Drew that collided. It was somebody, and I still want to say it's Luck and somebody, but I'm not sure who the other person was.
Remember it or Drew Luck colliding. My own very eyes. But anyway, the race with the Grand Prix is underway. Corvix is on our way to another blistering start.
Yes, Kamaru did actually gain a spot on Drew, and Luck went down to P8 off the start, which is not great. Sparrow, Nixie, and Pixie all jumping through there. Lenny already dropping just over a second behind after the first lap, although he does get a massive bunch of slipstream down the back straight. Imagine there can't be too much changing, but Kamaru does get a really poor exit out of the chicane. Drew does want to go alongside. He does make the move, and behind him might follow Pixie. No. But it's a good move from Drew that does now drop this pack out of the arrest of Lenny. And so Drew might have to push hard to get back into it if he wants to try to hold this spot. Kamaru right behind, and Pixie, who's now under threat from Sparrow, who... Ooh... I didn't really see what happened there. It looked like Sparrow went a bit hot into the corner, ended up tapping Pixie. Half spun her around, and I'm sure stewards are going to have a look at that one after this race. Did Lenny get... I don't think Lenny's going to get DRS either, so I think the biggest fight will be between Drew and Kamaru here for third place. Sparrow is also right behind. I don't think she's going to get DRS here, so she will hope that Kamaru does try something on Drew here, which he doesn't yet, but here is obviously the second part of the DRS zone. He gets a much better launch this time. Will he make a move into turn one? No, he's not close enough. Pixie does make a move back off of Sparrow, though, getting the position back, but she does run wide. A little bit of collision. Probably a bit of netcode, but this is not what Sparrow wants. This is the opposite. It looks like there's like an accident at the back. I think Avo's been spun around by Random. Something's happened there. Avo is not damaged. Random, I believe, is also not damaged. I think it might have just been a light little spin there. As looks like something else happened with Sparrow and Nixie. Or it's just Sparrow and somebody, I'm not really sure, maybe. Because everything's kicking off now. They thought they decided that they're gonna go through a few laps. They're gonna be nice and clean for the first couple laps, and then they're just gonna smack into each other on lap 3. Honestly, it's a very interesting strategy from them now. Nixie does let Sparrow pass. I mean, I wouldn't really fight it either. Sparrow is in a different race. She needs to catch back up to Pixie now. As Kamaru does now drop away from Drew and out of DRS as well. Nixie is going to try everything. She's going to be flapping her bat wings, trying to get as close to Sparrow to keep that DRS. Does she get the DRS? No, she doesn't. She's going to be easy pickings for Luck down the back straight. If Luck doesn't already go for it, I mean, he's right on the back of her. It'd be a maniac move to go for it into the hairpin, but I've seen... Oh, but he does go extremely wide. He locks up, goes wide into the hairpin, and now that move that looked almost certain is now not even a chance to be on. Does get the DRS. The DRS protection zone is way before that point, but that's still not great for them. Sparrow does get a penalty. I wonder how much of that was fighting, though. As I want to keep an eye on Sparrow here with Pixie.
I want to pin it on the World Champion chicane. Penalty.
Yeah, I'm sure this won't be the last penalty we see from that chicane there.
Far from it.
as we are watching Sparrow catch up to the back of Pixie here. She should just be... I think she's going to be just out of DRS this lap. That's going to be really frustrating for her. Yeah, just into the hairpin. She is just about out of it. But she will get a nice bit of slipstream down the back straight. It won't be enough to make an overtake happen, but it will be enough to possibly set it up for next lap. Saying that, she is extremely close at the back here. You don't really see turn 1 moves happen that much in the games, really. Like, it's not the most common of things to do. It's quite a surprise, considering it's just off of a DRS, but it's not really a great braking. It's not a heavy braking zone. It's still a fourth gear corner into a second right after, but it's still a fourth gear corner. You don't really get the opportunity to heavily outbrake somebody there like you do on the hairpin, or even the Quarter Champions chicane is only like fourth gear. It's none of the braking zones here are that sharp to lend yourself to a dive or lend yourself to a move like that.
Same could be said for IRL also.
That is true, but Sparrow does get a brilliant exit out of the hairpin. I mean, she might make the move done before the DRS is even activated. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she did. She's gonna have a DRS all the way down the back straight to make that move stick. Behind her, we do see Nixie and Luck. Luck does have DRS. I'd imagine Luck would pull out to the inside here to make a move. Sleeping in the slipstream. Yes, a little lock up. They go side by side. Luck on the hard tires, Nixie on the mediums, and Nixie on the tight line into turn 2 holds the position. That's a great defending from her now. We will keep you up to date on the penalty situation as well later on into the race, as that will be a huge determining factor for some of these positions here, as penalties will be coming in thick and fast as Luck goes for a move down the inside here. I'm pretty sure this is what happened last time on the last lap. Lucky there wasn't a crash this time round, as Luck does make the move, but it's right into here. And now Nixie, all she has to do is keep it steady into the hairpin, which she does, and now she just gets to take the position back. It's a double DRS zone. All she has to do is just keep it there. Luck does go defensive. Are they gonna go too wide into the Wall of Champions chicane? No, Nixie has a moment. She turns in late. That's knocked her down over a second out of DRS. She's gonna get some more of it back on the second part, but she now has to try to maintain a 1 second gap to Luck ahead. Look, is actually what she's doing. She is holding on to the back of that Husky for her dear life, and she's currently got the pace to keep up with him. She gets a DRS back here. She's within half a second even. Sure, it's going to extend a little bit coming out of that zone, but she's going to have DRS down the back straight again. Luck with a massive lockup there. Not going to do his tires any good, and it's not going to do his lap time any good either. As Nixie now has... Oh, go on.
It's DRS, and only consequence of that supposed lockup is that Nixie might be a whole lot closer to that Red Bull Technologies gearbox, that V-car.
That is true, but I don't think Nixie is going to be close enough to make a move here. Luck is going to go defensive into turn 1, but Nixie doesn't go for the move just yet. She's eyeing up her options before really settling in for it, I imagine. But I do want to take your attention to the current fight for P2. I didn't expect Drew to be able to keep on to Lenny and I thought Lenny would hold on to the back of Corvix, but it's actually Drew holding on to the back of Lenny as he almost runs into the back of him, literally then. Drew's battery does look pretty worn, and there's a
But there's an
spin.
Alpine.
There's an Alpine spun in the left, in the actual left-right chicane, and Avo, out of sympathy, spins with Laz. He didn't want it to be outshone on the spinning department. He thought, nope, I'm going to be the one that spins here, not you. My spins are more spectacular. And he proves it right there by joining Laz with spinning as well.
Back to the fight for P2.
Oh, that's an early pit stop from Luck. That's a really, really early pit stop, and I think that's going to be... I'm really surprised that he's gone and pitted there. I believe that Luck... Yeah, Luck was on the hard tire. He started on the hard tires. He's going for a two-stop strategy here. I think he's going for a pretty aggressive two-stop as he pits onto the medium tire after 10 laps on the hard. I'm not sure how well that bodes for him. I mean, he had the gap. That spin from Laz does give him the gap, but it's such an early pit stop to make off of the hard tires. The hard tires, they don't feel great. They're okay to drive. They're not the best tires in the world to drive, but
Best tires to start on.
No, that's probably what happened at the start for him. But it's more just a case of now, he now has to do 2 stints of at least 12 laps each on these medium tires when he struggled to do 10 on the hards. That's going to cause some huge issues later on in the race. He might make the jump on Nixie in the early time, but if he can't keep those tires well kept, and if he makes any sort of mistake on them, which could be prone to do with the one tires, I'm just unsure about the call. I don't think it was a good call to come in that early. I think that was a huge mistake that he's making there.
See how it will benefit him in the long run.
Yes. In terms of the other tire battle, though, the mediums versus hards, the mediums are Drew and the hards are Lenny. They're gonna be side by side into the Wall of Champions chicane. They make it out alive, which honestly is easier said than done into that part of the track. I'm unsure how clean that was. It looked clean from the camera angle. Everything looked like it was fine. As you can see, more of the warnings and penalties coming through. Drew is having some issues here. Lenny's all over the back of him. Once Drew pits, Lenny's going to be set to overtake him again. He's got all of his battery left as well. He's obviously going to keep himself... Yeah, he's going to keep right behind him. Less than a tenth. Like, honestly, if I was him, I'd get the DRS here and I'd go for a dive bomb into the hairpin.
He thinks better of it.
He does think better of it. I think he had a look for it. Yeah, he had a look at it. As he does... Yeah, he's easy going to get the DRS. I mean, Drew shouldn't even fight it in this scenario. Like, you're not defending that. You're just not defending it.
But he's just way too close to that Ferrari gearbox.
Oh, Drew goes straight into the pits. 11 laps. See, 11 laps on the medium tires seems more manageable. It seems quite manageable to do.
Yeah, it looks more logical and diving in early from hards.
Ooh, and he does go into the curve. Gets a little bit of a spin on it, the half spin. It's now going to see where does Drew come out of the pits here. I think he's going to come out perfectly fine. Yeah, there's nothing around him that's going to cause any issues. Pixie goes into the pits now. She should come out ahead of her teammate Luck. Yeah, that's quite easily ahead of her teammate Luck. Onto the hard tires with Luck on the mediums. I can expect those two to be next to each other within a few laps as well. The only thing now for Drew is that Drew now I'm not sure how long Kimaru and Sparrow are going to stay on these hards and mediums. A one-stop is doable here. It's tricky, it's painful, but it is very much doable. The question is are either of them going to go for it? Sparrow's already missed the opportunity to go for a... Oh, wait, before we go... I'll finish that thought in a bit. It looks like Pixie has spun it out of... I don't really know the corner names on this track, but it's the chicane right after the DRS zone, just before the DRS detection zone. On her brand new hard tires, she is missing a front left end plate. That is going to be detrimental. It's going to absolutely destroy her her run here. Is she going to go and get it fixed? No, she isn't. She's going to try to run it with damaged left front wing. That's going to make her right-hand turns absolutely hell, and it's going to make every chicane here feel worse and worse. Every single lap. I can expect her to even get, like... I reckon she'll be lucky if she just doesn't get overtaken by Random or Avo. I imagine they'll keep on pace even with their absolutely dead tyres here. But back on the subject of the tyre battle between the one-stop and the two-stop here. The one-stop, I'm not sure how much I don't think the one-stop is that much faster as we see a Sparrow go into the pits. The one-stop isn't that much better. It's a doable thing. Sure, you can do 20 laps on the hards. It's not that difficult to do, and I imagine Sparrow will actually do all 20 laps on the hards here. It's more now a question of how many laps can you do on these tyres without absolutely binning it into a wall. Someone like Luck, who's done hard onto medium, who now has to do 25 laps on the medium tyres, he's almost certainly going to have to come in for a second stop. But Sparrow here probably doesn't have to. Neither does Drew, really. It has 2 laps of... So it is entirely based on when you pitted. And I think if you pitted too early and you're locking into that 2-stop, you're really limiting your options here, because Sparrow and Drew both had the option to go into a 2-stop here. Like if they feel that the pace is there or the pace is needed, they can dive into a 2-stop quite simply, as I imagine Sparrow will make quite work of Nixie here. The traffic, I mean, she'll want to make good quick work off the bat, because being stuck behind traffic is never optimal. She doesn't actually get DRS here, which is quite a surprise, so maybe she won't be able to get past so easily. I don't think Nixie will try to fight it, though. I think she'll be smart enough not to fight it, but no, Sparrow doesn't even go for the move, so she will have to spend another lap behind Nixie, unless she goes for something tremendously brave, which... Yeah, okay, I wasn't expecting anything there. If that happened, yeah, I would be beyond surprised.
But next instead, it has a moment.
Yeah, does she break her front wing? She does break her front wing. That was very akin to... No, she doesn't break her front wing, actually. That's very akin to what we saw Avo and Laz do. Obviously, on those 15-lap-old medium tyres, they're actually the most worn tyre on the grid at the moment that's still racing. She's kept those medium tyres lasted for as long as she can. But at this point, her grip is gone. Like those rear tyres are going to be screaming at you for a break, and I wouldn't be surprised if she comes in the pit now. 20 laps on the hards, easily doable. Yeah, she comes into the pits well before the line. I think she'll come out just ahead of... Yeah, she'll come out ahead of Random, a bit behind Pixie. She might actually be quite close to Pixie. If she didn't have that moment, I reckon she would have come out ahead of Pixie, but I think because of that moment... Yeah, because of that moment, she ends up behind Pixie as well.
potentially in the clutches of a Ferrari.
I mean, that's just Corvix coming to lap people, and that's what you've come to expect here this season in FRL. But now we see the issue with the undercut for Drew is that, okay, he's now 10 seconds behind Lenny, which is roughly about 6-7 seconds ahead on track, like on paper here. But now he has to be stuck behind Kimaru. And Kimaru's fast, but he's on 17 lap hold hards. Drew is not gaining any time here. Like, he's going to be losing time. He's going to be all over the back. And although I can't see Kimaru trying to fight it, if Drew doesn't get a good run out
here,
and if Drew makes the wrong mistake, and he is going to try to fight it, Drew obviously doesn't go for the bait, keeps behind. He's gonna wait for the DRS down the back straight. Is he gonna do my move? Is he gonna do the idea of diving into the hairpin? Yes, he is. It's not even a challenge, though. Really, that much of a tire disparity. Drew's gonna get the DRS down the double back straight and zoom off ahead of Kimaru, but that is now cost him a lap of time that he could easily be catching up to Lenny with. And the second half of this race, Lenny will be on fresh medium tires, and will be able to gain 2 or 3 seconds a lap. So Drew wants every bit of lap time he can, because it will be in probably 2 or 3 laps that the hard tire runners will go into the pits. Further down, Sparrow is now actually going to be fighting Kimaru when Kimaru pits. She's been able to catch up to the Sauber driver, at least in terms of interval here. I mean, the pit is 17 seconds, so she will come out ahead of Kimaru. Kimaru will be down into 15th place. So it'll be a second lot of this fight between the hard start and the medium start, which will be a fight that will pretty much go on, I believe, for the entirety of the race. Getting on to lap 20 will be the time where I imagine to see them starting to pit. Ideally, yeah. Maybe a bit later if these hard tires are able to hold out just a bit more. But, I mean, we can see the amount of time that is being gained by the ones that have pitted, and that's the tire that they're going to be having to struggle to deal with. I mean, Drew's going to finish this race on hard tires that have been on for a very long time, as we do see Luck coming in for a second pit stop now.
And changing his front wing as well.
Ah, yes. I don't think I saw when that happened or where that happened. That is quite the surprise. He does go on to another set of mediums, which, I mean, it will now finish the race. He will no longer have to make another pit stop, but he does now have to make 14.5 seconds to Nixie, as Lenny does pit from second place. It was, yeah, lap 20. It was lap 20 as predicted. He will now feed out behind Kimaru, who should be coming into his pit stop relatively soon as well. As well as the... Actually, one thing I haven't really noticed yet is that Nixie is actually closing in on Pixie. Obviously, Pixie does have that front wing damage from when she collided with the wall. Nixie will be blue flagged here. I imagine she'll get out of the way of Corvix as soon as she can. or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, she does, yeah. It may have been the most optimal getting out of the way, but she did. She's now passed. She will probably actually snag DRS here off of Corvix. Will she get DRS? Yeah,
She does.
Yeah, she does. That's really going to help her catch up to Pixie now, as Pixie obviously will need to give way to Corvix as well. I don't think she's going to get DRS down the back straights, but she might still. Yeah, no, she's still going to keep DRS. She's going to keep planted onto the back of Corvix's Ferrari, and she is going to ride that DRS train all the way to the bank of Pixie's 6th position. Well, at least until Corvix picks, which I imagine will also be this lap here. No?
Nope.
No, he keeps it out. He keeps it out for another lap as Kimaru also stays out as well. Lenny is forced to make an actual overtake on track. I am, though, intrigued to see. I mean, if you're Pixie here, you have a damaged front wing, and you're most likely gonna lose this spot to Nixie. Would you pit again, maybe for a medium or maybe for a soft to try to steal fastest lap? I mean, because the issue with that is that Corvix kind of already has that gap somewhat made. I mean, Lenny's now setting purple fastest laps, which is to be expected now. He's now gone onto those medium tires, as Kimaru does now pit out from third? No, from fourth. Comes out right behind. Or doesn't come out right behind. Sparrow comes out 8 seconds down the road from Sparrow. He has about 8 seconds to gain, 9 seconds to gain on Sparrow, and then make the overtake. It's quite simple. It's quite easy to do. The tire disparity is coming quite huge here. I imagine he'll be on the back of Sparrow by lap 32. And then he'll make the move, and then the move can be made. Oh!
Lux retiring in the pit lane.
That's in the pit lane. Okay, that's in the pit lane. That's quite a surprise. I mean, he was still in for some good points there. I don't really understand maybe there was an issue with the car, I don't know.
Underlying issue or hidden confidence.
Who knows? I mean, this track is not the nicest. He did have a few penalties. Speaking of penalties, let me actually go through who has what in terms of penalties at the moment. So, at the moment, both Drew and Lenny have a 3-second time penalty, so that can basically be negated from each other. Oh, before we do that, is Nixie going to make a move along the outside? Pixie doesn't really fight it too heavily, and she is through into P6. The commentary bat proving why she does belong down there and not up in the box.
Back on the topic of penalties, pretty much Russia's summary is almost everyone but Corvix, Kimaru, and Glazzy have penalties.
Yeah. And I think Glazzy is currently an AI controlled car, so basically Drew and Lenny both have Drew and Lenny both have 3-second time penalties each, so that fight would be purely on track. Sparrow does have 6 seconds of time penalties herself, although I imagine a couple of them were probably track limits when she was fighting in the first couple of laps. Some of those could also be revoked, as we say that. Corvix gets a 3-second penalty himself. Kimaru doesn't actually have any at the moment, which is very well done from him. I don't want to curse him though, he might still get some still.
Actually, kind of surprising.
Yeah, it's quite surprising that everybody else now is getting a penalty, so If he can keep it on, if he can keep it within the white lines, then he won't even need to make that move on Sparrow. He can just sit behind her and honestly reel her in with these medium tires. Nixie has 3 seconds herself, with Pixie behind on 9, Avo on 3, Random on 6, and Laz on 9.
All of them
two
big track
Alpines.
limits penalties.
Yes. Nothing other than track limit penalties. What I am surprised about, though, is how Kimaru doesn't really seem to be making inroads on Sparrow. Sparrow's either really killing these hard tires, or Kimaru just isn't getting along with them. Because, I mean, Lenny's caught up to Drew about 3 or 4 seconds already, but Kimaru hasn't really gained that much time. He's gaining maybe like a couple tenths a lap, but it's not enough to really make a good run for it. It's just on the last lap alone, Sparrow actually did a 112.5 and AT did a 112.7. The same situation for Lenny and Drew. Lenny did a 111.9 and Drew did a 113 flat. Although Drew was mostly doing 112.4s before that, it's still quite a big chunk of time being taken out each lap compared to Sparrow and Kimaru here. I feel like that would be now the biggest key, is this Lenny Drew battle. Because catching up to the car is one thing, then you got to try to get past the car, then you got to try to, well, break away from said car while they're getting the DRS, they're getting the slipstream. I mean, we've seen it before in previous races where the car who is clearly faster will be stuck behind a car that is slower, or a car that's slower will just not be able to make the move, or won't be able to be dropped off. It's something that you see quite a bit during the season. As Lenny does take another 7 tenths out of Drew. Drew gets himself another time penalty. That's just insult to injury for Drew now.
On top of already hard half the week.
Yes, and that there Lenny won't really Lenny will still want to make that move happen, but he hasn't gained that much time this lap. The pace difference is no longer as apparent. I don't know whether that was a mistake from Lenny this lap, or whether it was Drew picking up the pace. Drew at 112.6, Lenny 112.8, so either Lenny's tyres are now starting to hit that cliff. How many laps has it been now on these tyres? 8 laps on those medium tyres. That is roughly where you will start to see those medium tyres start to drop out. The hard tyres will start to come back into their own around this time, but both drivers still have a lot of time, and
no flag.
That's somebody
That's
in
Avery.
the wall.
That's Avery.
Avo in the wall. I saw him reversing out. I don't think there's any. Are there any end plates left on that Aston Martin?
Is only what looks like the left end plates still act.
Ah, that's such a rough. He was chasing down Pixie as well. That was really unfortunate from Avo. Well, Pixie did just swap onto soft tires as well, as Corvix does the same, but I mean,
I think he was.
If you're Avo here, what do you think?
I mean, the car's gonna. handled pretty horribly. So it's either
Right, but
hit now.
there's but there's not really enough time for
Uh,
you to make that time loss back. I mean, he has 12, 13 seconds to Laz in P10. You're not going to be able to make. I don't think pitting here is the right call for Avo, even though his car is now damaged. He can't really afford to pit. He's going to have to do the last 5 laps with that damaged wing, and he's just going to have to suck it up and pray that it doesn't make him tap any other walls.
Stick around and just pray that big P8 points haul will stand.
Yes, that would be a huge point haul for Aston Martin, especially as Alpine are gonna get at least 3 points behind him. He'll want to make that only 3 points so he still gets a gain on them. I did just see that Sparrow got another 3-second time penalty, which only adds to that situation with M and Kimaru now, as Kimaru is already 7.5 seconds down. Kimaru has yet to get a penalty. Has he got any track limit warnings? Is what I'd like to have a look. He's gotten 2. He's gotten 3 warnings. So Kimaru basically is on his last warning here. So he has about 1 second to fiddle around with to try and keep that P4 alive. Lenny is struggling to make any more inroads into Drew for that P2. With obviously Drew's extra 3 seconds compared to Lenny. Other than that, I mean, Avo is theoretically not that far away from Pixie. I mean, if Avo didn't have that moment, he'd probably be right into Pixie's penalty zone, and he'd probably be more or less looking at a P7 rather than a P8, looking back for a P9. But I don't think Random isn't really gaining any time on him, so I think his P8 is safe, barring another mistake from him. And I think he's not really going to be able to make any inroads in the Pixie now either, so Pixie's P7 is also safe. So now it just begs the question of, can Lenny keep his pace up and get into Drew's 3-second range? And can Kimaru get back into Sparrow's range? Maybe those medium tires weren't that great after all. I mean,
That or he's playing it. Either that or Kimaru's playing it super safe.
Oh, he can't play it that safe because he still needs to be within 9 seconds of Sparrow. I mean, you can play it safe all you want, but if you drop too much time, you're not gonna benefit from it. And I think that's what... I mean, with these medium tires now going on to 10, 12 laps, they're gonna start to drop off a cliff. Like, those hard tires, they don't feel great, but like after 20 laps or 50, like after 15 to 20 laps on those hard tires, they still feel okay-ish to drive. They're not the worst car tires in the world, but there's mediums once they drop, they just drop. They just go. They're awful. They're awful. You might as well put them in the bin, put them into a blender, and they'd be better tires at this point. I think that's what Lenny is going to be struggling to fight the car around. But Drew's losing a lot of time. I think that's just the timing tower having a bit of a malfunction, actually. Yeah. Although, with almost only 2 laps left to go for these two, then he will just have to stick it within 0.2 and obviously within the white line.
But he has a moment.
That is a terrifying moment. absolutely terrifying. That's what a moment where if you have it in an actual car, you're asking for a new pair of underwear right afterwards.
This won't exactly help his fight for P2.
No, he still does knock him back a couple of tenths. He has 2 tenths, 3 tenths to gain. Both drivers now are going to be pushing onto the limit. As Kimaru is actually now starting to make some heavy inroads into Sparrow. Was there a mistake on Sparrow's side? And is there a crash in the wall? Random's in the wall he's in the wall of champions. He's in the wall of champions there.
He's actually hit the wall of champions. Only person now to actually hit that very wall.
That was such a shame as well. He was doing really well against his teammate. Oh, hello. Well, was that Nixie Head having a moment? Gosh, everyone's having a moment on these last few laps. The tires are giving out now. We're on to the last lap for most of the drivers. As I just wanna have a look at this battle for P2 now. It's now within 1/10. Unfortunately, I would love for it to be on the track, but it is on the timing tower. It's within 3 seconds. Lenny is now within 3 seconds. He is in that P2 spot after the penalty. It's how much battery do they have to expend down the back straight? Is Drew actually going to get a bit of cheeky DRS from the Alpine to maybe boost his chances? He is! He's going to get DRS! He's gonna expend his entire battery. He has 3 tenths to gain on Lenny, who doesn't get DRS here. Will that be enough? Drew just gets within over 3 seconds. A good Wall of Champions will be good for Lenny, and he gets the penalty anyway. Oh, he gets the penalty anyway. Even without it, he would have been 77 thousandths off. Obviously, Corvix wins an entire pit stop lead, fastest lap on those soft tyres. It's yeah, it was a pretty comfortable win for Corvix. Drew does get into a second place, beating Lenny this time out. Kimaru actually finishes ahead of Sparrow. Sparrow obviously was unable to keep Kimaru within that 9-second of penalties. Honestly, to keep the car completely within limits, that is an impressive feat to do. No other driver was able to actually compete that this time round, which is it's a brilliant drive from Kimaru in that sense.
Our control system, he would have been pretty much driver of the day.
Yeah, I mean,
even if the systems gave it to Sparrow,
it's still an impressive feature. And then Sparrow does end up coming in P5. Nixie in P6. I believe that actually is that the same as. I don't think that's the same spot she got in Jeddah, was it? Let me have a look for that. Nixie. No, where is Nixie? It was actually Qatar last race. I completely forgot about that. It was Qatar. It was the last race where Nixie drove. Where she did get 8th or 9th, but she got 6th place this time round, beating Pixie, of course. Pixie was getting 7th even with that penalty. Avo in P8, and then the 2 Alpines in P9 and P10 occupying the last 2 points positions. Random, I think, getting his first point of the season, and I think that is Laz's first point of the season as well. Yeah, that's both Alpines' first points of the season. Finally off the mark, proving that they are in fact better than Sauber in real life. And although it would maybe not been the best weekend for Aston Martin compared to RB, they do keep the head of that lead in the constructors championship, and I think actually they overtake Williams now. I believe that's Aston Martin going into seventh position ahead of Williams, as of course Williams were unable to score any points this weekend. Glassy having some issues with the car at start,
It's having a
and
generally miserable weekend.
yeah, a miserable weekend for the Williams, compounded with a great weekend for Abo in the Aston Martin, soaring them into seventh place.
The lone Aston Martin. Unfortunately, resident Canadian stout.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame that Skyler's got to missed his home Grand Prix for the second time in a row. But let's hope he's back for the next race. Speaking of that, that will be, I believe, in 1 week time. The next week, yes, it'll be in 1 week's time, November the 2nd. It'll be at the Red Bull Ring, so can see a lot of wheel-to-wheel battle there. But until then, I have been Sierra. Along with me has been Pridus. And we will hopefully see you next time.